$20 when you trade 20. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Kalshi, because like I said, it is a trading market where you can put in your prediction and you can go ahead and earn interest on that. You can make money off the knowledge that you know, and if you put $20 in, you get $20 back. So all right guys, make sure to go check out my guy Kalshi, because you can get in on good trades like who Trump nominated as Fed chair, will Ali Khamenei be outed as the supreme leader, and will the US confirm that aliens exist before 2027. So if you want to get in on this action, once again, go ahead and go to my partners at Kalshi. Go ahead and use the link, or you can hit the QR code above and use S.E.T Media to go ahead and get $20 when you trade 20. This is S.E.T from S.E.T Media, and shout out to Kalshi. All right, guys, let's make sure to tap into that deal from Kalshi. Go ahead and use my promo code S.E.T Media, and we are live. Yo, this is S.E.T with S.E.T Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to get straight into a media analysis with all the current news that came up. So let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video. And we're going to start on the left side of media with CNN. Let's get right to it.
Two main things, I guess, at issue here. One is whether it's credible that the United States would just simply not know that Israel was going to do something like that. And then the second thing is Netanyahu saying we acted alone. Not sure anyone is disagreeing or disputing that part of it. I think the question is not whether they acted alone, but whether they did so without any knowledge from the United States.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a difference between the military's coordinating and President Trump personally approving a strike, right? I think that it's, to me, I don't know what happened. I think I do know that the Israeli and the U.S. military absolutely knew about this strike. But I don't know whether it moved up the chain or not.
Do you really think it's possible? Sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
I think that's extraordinary if that's true.
It might be
true. If
there
is military coordination on something as serious as a LNG, a gas field attack, that would not make it up to the president?
I mean, I don't know. Things happen. I don't know if you've ever been around in the Oval Office and how busy the president is and the prime minister's coming in. I don't know. Things happen. I've been in the middle of where, you know, the DNI has been accused of how could you possibly not know? Well, he was busy and no one told him. Maybe it's possible, but I think that's not even the point. The point is that Israel did this on purpose. They did this in order to escalate, or they're really, really dumb about what Iran is capable.
Oh God, do me a favor and double tap that screen right now. Help me get out of shadow ban by liking the video and supporting the show. And you can do that by double tapping that screen. All right, guys, let's get right back to it.
Of doing and what they think, because it is so obvious after the Karg hit and the escalation that this was going to happen.
I think it actually is very important whether or not the United States was given a heads up on a huge escalation by the Israelis that's attacking Iranian oil.
Yeah, it's a huge data point, because one, it's like, all right, so you're telling me that we got dragged into this by the Israelis, and then two, we let the Israelis decide for us what an imminent threat is, and this is why we're in this conflict or war, is because the Israelis pretty much dragged us into this, and hopefully weren't going on their intel, because their intel has been bad before, and we've got into wars on their bad intel before. So it's kind of crazy not to double check whatever they say. And then, like I said, the fact that we followed up behind them in those strikes, yeah, that makes a lot of Americans believe that, yo, are we just getting dragged into these conflicts by Israel? I mean, is this fair? It's fair to say that.
Infrastructure, which resulted in retaliatory attacks on Gulf infrastructure, which is tanking the world economy and affecting the pocketbooks of every American citizen. So, yeah, I would like to know. And it's pretty clear that the White House put out opposite signals. Earlier, they said they were putting out to reporters that they were briefed and it was part of a means to pressure the Iranians to open the Strait of Hormuz. Guess what? That didn't work. The Iranians escalated. And then later, Trump said that he didn't know. And then the Israelis leaked that he did know. So, yeah, I think it's worth figuring it out. But it just goes to show you, as President Trump has said, as Tulsi Gabbard testified today, U.S. and Israel are on different pages. They're operating from different objectives. They want different outcomes. They have different estimations of how long the war should last. They have different targets. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And
I
why
think,
this war is-
I think to
to be more
piggyback a
of a
little bit on your point, it highlights one of the greater problems people have, because even if Democrats, as they should say that Iran's naval capacity has been decimated, one of the largest sponsors of terror has been depleted, their ballistic missiles have been depleted. I mean, all of those things can be successes as you're talking about what the military objectives are. What we still don't know is what the cost is, what the human cost is going to be. We don't know what the cost to everyday Americans is going to be.
Right now, we're looking at so far $20 billion in cost. Gas prices are continuously going up. So that's the cost to Americans, which is going to make energy prices grow up, which is going to be another further cost to Americans. So like I said, it's like people are trying to sell this war and like, look, it's going to be short-term pain for long-term gain. But the sad thing is, though, we're going through the pain right now, and it's kind of hard to sell people on the pain aspect of this, especially while prices are still going up. The war is still going on. I mean, reports just came out that an F-35 got shot down by Iranian fire. So, I mean, there's another $1 billion wasted.
We don't know if we're going to have
How
to
long
put
would it
boots on the
go?
ground. And all of us around the table, if we're intellectually honest, we know that if one of our objectives is to go in and make sure that they don't have the ability to have a nuclear program, we're going to have to put boots on the ground to achieve that. So I think that what we want and what most people want and what most average everyday Americans want is, while it's taking us more dollars at the tank to fill up our gas tanks every single day just to do our nominal task, we want to have clarity. We want transparency, and we want honesty. Like, even if you were to say, which I said at the beginning of this statement, about the successes of some of the military objectives, true. The question is, what is the off-ramp? We thought at the beginning of this, we'd be out of this by now. And what is the cost? And no one's been able to articulate that at all.
So one of the parts of this that kind of merges what you're both saying on this either side of the table. If we are not the ones driving the tempo and the escalation of this war, and in fact Israel is, this is a question that was posed to the Secretary of Defense today. Why are we helping Israel prosecute this war if they're going to pursue their own objectives? What is the answer to the question? Are we controlling the tempo, or is Israel controlling the tempo?
It seems like Israel's controlling the tempo of escalation because they're the ones that stepped into the next part of the escalation in the war. They bombed an oil manufacturer. I mean, not oil man. They bombed an oil infrastructure in Iran. Well, Iran bombed an oil infrastructure in Qatar, and one that we use a lot. So yeah, that is a problem. We do have two separate goals when it comes to this. We don't want regime change, or we don't see regime change as a possibility, but Israel does. Like, when it comes to their ballistic missiles, yeah, I guess we have a alliance on that, on wearing down the ballistic missiles and proxies. But when it comes to the whole regime change, no, Israel actually wants regime change, and they're willing to do whatever to get it. Even though we're not, they are. And one of the main reasons, like I said, why we're in this war is because Israel is feeding us information that, oh, Iran's an imminent threat. They're 2 weeks away from a bomb. And this is where all the pundits on Fox News get their talking points. It's the sad reality of what's going on when in war times. There's propaganda to push an unfavorable war because, well, let's be real, political opinion matters when we're going to war. And if there isn't really much political will, then we won't be able to stay in this war for long. And it's going to add more. I'm gonna be real with you. It's going to start making the Republicans turn against Trump because nobody want to go along with an unsavory war and risk their position or risk their seats. So a lot of people are going to start turning on Trump, like Joe Kent, if he does not end this war, conclude this war soon.
Well, look, the president said today we're coordinating, we're allies here, but it's perfectly reasonable to believe that we do have different objectives here. Our objectives, I don't think, have really changed. We don't want them to export terror. We don't want them to have nuclear missiles. We've taken out the Navy. And these are our objectives. Israel has to live with this in the neighborhood. And Israel, of course, for them, this is the finishing off of what was done to them on October the 7th, which will never happen again. So it's reasonable. It's reasonable for us to have different objectives.
You don't think October's bro, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Israel wants to destroy the Alexa Mosque. If you don't know what the Alexa Mosque is, it's one of the third holiest sites in Islam. If they destroy the Alexa Mosque, they will have 19 October 7ths. Okay, that's the problem with what's going on right now in Israel, and this is why. And it looks like they're trying to pop off a greater conflict with this whole rebuilding of the third temple, because to rebuild the third temple, you got to destroy the third holiest site in Islam. And if you do that, then I'm sorry, but there's going to be a whole bunch of Muslims trying to rush in, trying to commit an October 7th. So trust me, like it's kind of scary what's going on right now for Israel at that, because the people of Israel don't want to destroy the Alexa Mosque. It's these radical, like right-wing Israelis that want to do it, and it's going to drag their people into it, or the consequences of it.
Is the answer to the question that Israel does what it wants and we just have to live with it? Because that's the question the world is asking themselves. If Israel decides to continue moving up the escalation ladder, attacking energy, retaliatory attacks, that's not just Israel's problem anymore. That's the whole world's problem suddenly.
Well, look, it sounded to me today like President Trump was not happy about this strike, and it sounded like Prime Minister Netanyahu got the message. So, look, my anticipation is that we're heavily influential to them. We don't run them, and they don't run us. We're allies, but they don't control us. Yeah, and I don't know that we're necessarily control them.
We're the senior partner. They're the junior partner. We have the weapons. We give them the weapons. We're funding this war. We're the great power. They're our client state. So in theory, we should be able to have the more than a 50% say in whether American blood and treasure is spent to perpetuate this war for months and months.
And it didn't seem like we had much of a say. He kind of sounded like, bro, the Israelis just put up and said, look, we're attacking Iran. Is either you're in or you're out. And we had no say in it. We didn't say, oh, well, no, you can't do that. Or, well, if you do that, we're going to strip away your defenses. I mean, there was no pushback against Israel. That's what it seems. If there were, I'm going to be real with you. We've seen a lot of pro-Israel politicians talking about this guy and that guy is anti-Semitic. But it just seems like everybody just bent the knee and went along.
And it's pretty clear from what President Trump said today that the war, he wants to get out very soon. He keeps saying it. And he wants to get out very soon. And it's pretty clear from what Netanyahu said today that he doesn't want to get out very soon. Well, so both of those people can't win. One of them is going to be right and one of them is going to be wrong. So who's going to win that disagreement? Is it going to be Trump and we're going to end the war soon? Or is it going to be Bibi and the war is going to go on for a very long time? Both of them can't be right, Scott. And in the end, we're going to find out who really wears the pants in this bromance.
Well, look, the bottom line is that Israel cannot exist, will not exist, has said they won't exist any longer with an Iranian state that is funding terror proxies and committing the kind of atrocities against Israel that we saw on October the 7th. They have wiped out the terror proxies for the most part. They're continuing that against Hezbollah now. But Israel is not in a position to say, okay, you know what, we'll just let them reconstitute what they had for the purposes of going after us again. So that's not going to happen, and they shouldn't let it happen.
If the Israelis want to perpetuate ongoing offensive hostilities against Iran forever, that's on them. You know what I mean? I'm not Israeli. You're not Israeli. We're Americans, right?
I mean, yeah, they can do that, but don't drag us into it. Like, the problem with Israel is that the only thing that Israel's problems have now became our problems. The only problem that Iran posed to us was their nuclear capability. That was it. Like, once we had our eyes on that, we should have just hopped out of the situation and let Israel handle the rest. We should have hopped out as soon as they signed another something like the JCPOA. We have eyes on their nukes. We got inspectors in there. And if Israel want to take care of their ballistic missiles and their proxies, okay, cool, let them. But if we're going to sit there and try to make our missions Israel's missions, then we're going to be dragged out in this for a while. I mean, last time I checked, there's not a conflict that Israel ended. Every conflict that Israel was in, recently, they had to be forced in or had to be negotiated into a ceasefire. And then they broke all the ceasefires. And it's kind of funny how Trump thinks that he can get the Israelis to stop. But I'm just like, bro, you put these guys under a ceasefire 2 times, they broke it. One of the times wasn't even you, and they broke that. So what made you think you can get the Israelis to stop firing when we can't even get them to stop firing when they're under a ceasefire?
Do you think that's a good idea? Or do you think we should just have a strategy that says we're attacking the Iranians forever and ever because the regime's not collapsing? They're not going to stop trying to have an army. They're not going to stop trying to have the capability to project power. So the only options are to attack them forever or to have some sort of end game that gets us extricated from this conflict. Which one of those are you for, Scott?
Well, I think you're being a little dramatic.
No, it's pretty simple.
B, we have significantly degraded the regime. And look, here's the deal.
What's the answer?
The Israeli government cannot allow Iran to ever be in a position again to do to them what they did on October the 7th. It cannot happen. They do have some different experience than we do on this front. And so if they have to finish that job to their satisfaction, that needs to happen. But that's different than what we're doing there, which I think is being a good partner. But Israel has to live with it, and they did live with it, and we shouldn't expect them to have to live with it again.
Look, so there's such a thing as things that you can't take back, right? And one of those things is actually destroying resources. And here's Mohammed Al-Arian. He's a famed economist. This is what he's warning about where this is all headed. It's not just tit for tat and war, long-term damage. Listen.
My main concern, as you know, Sandra, is we've gone from disruptions to energy infrastructure to damage to energy infrastructure. 17% of Qatar's energy infrastructure will not come back online for years. So these are meaningful disruptions that have long-term effects.
And ultimately, that's why, as reasonable as what Scott is saying, the Israeli position is, the rest of the world has a say in this as well. Energy isn't just a convenience in terms of how much it costs. It's also life and death for a lot of people who rely on it. And that's what's at stake here.
Energy independence is independence and energy freedom is freedom. First, I would like to say, I mean, there's so much chatter online in particular that Trump is just Bibi Netanyahu's puppet. Clearly, he's very comfortable saying exactly what he thinks and exactly what he wants to see. And I would say Netanyahu's been fairly deferential if you
Just
watch
after
interviews.
the fact. I think that's
if
the
you watch
problem.
but I think he's setting the tone moving forward. But I think Trump certainly has a much more global picture in mind. He's cultivated deep relationships, certainly in the Gulf region. I think he has a very good pulse and is recognizing, of course, that oil base that was destroyed there in Qatar. It's a significant degradation of their energy capacity. So I think he's well aware of that. I mean, it's interesting to note the Gulf countries have committed to invest a lot in the U.S. That has not changed. And they still seem to be quite aligned with the Trump administration. So I think he's looking out for America's interests. And I think that's absolutely what he should be doing.
I mean, I think it's that last point that you just made. That's a whole new other question mark is what is the future of Middle East investment and where are they going?
Yeah, and that's the problem because it seems like Iran's plan may be working. They're trying to make America seem more like a liability to work with than an asset. And if we keep popping off wars like this in the Middle East on Israel's behest, a lot of our Middle East allies are going to turn to Russia and China because, well, they don't start wars for no reason. They don't try to sanction people so they'll listen to them. I mean, why not deal with a less hostile partner? Because that's what we are. We've turned into a hostile partner or economic partner. And it's gonna bite us in the ass one day when we can no longer have access to the Middle East. And all of you guys are going to be crying about it, going like, oh, those Muslims. But I'm going like, no, it's the wars that you've been supporting for decades. That's what's going to make these people turn away from us.